Hello, once again. It is time for our devotional, going through crucial conversations, walking step by step by step through how to communicate effectively with the people around us, whether that be with our families, our work, the people that we volunteer, and our friends. There's so many people that we desire so well to communicate and speak with, but a lot of times we end up in these crucial moments where our emotions are high, our opinions are varied, where we can't move forward. We've been walking through how to deal with those. We've been talking about the fact that we have to start with our heart, really understand what we want out of the conversation. We've talked about the fact that we need to look. We need to look especially for when safety is violated, when people don't feel like they're safe in the conversation, and during those moments they go to either run away from the conversation or they fight against whatever is being said. They attack. And as we were talking about looking for safety, we didn't actually talk about fixing the safety itself. We didn't talk about what to do once you notice the safety, because before you can fix it, you have to see that it's there. And the way you see it is by how people start acting. If they start getting more defensive, if their hands start to clench up a little bit, if their eyebrows start to raise, if their voice raises a bit, if they come at you with a sarcastic remark, if they try to change the subject, if they start to physically move out of the room or not communicate at all. You've said a couple of different statements or questions and they haven't responded at all, even though you know they heard you. That is when you can see that safety has been violated. And the reason that they don't want to engage you in the conversation is not because they don't want to deal with the conversation. Deep down inside, they do. They don't realize that there is a way that the conversation can be solved effectively. They don't realize there's a way that the conflict can be taken out of the conversation. And while it is an important conversation, it is no longer one where you're conflicting. And the crazy thing is, when we start to move from spotting the safety to building it, that is when we really become the really, really good communicators. That's when we become good at switching these conversations around from that are crucial to being good ones. And the worst people when they walk into a conversation, and for our talk today, I'm going to use one big example. We're going to kind of come back to it again and again and again. And this big example is, there's a mom, and I'm not going to say just a random mom, and she has a teenage daughter, and this mom works long hours. It's a single mom with her daughter, and she works long hours, and there are nights that she knows that she's going to have off, and she wants to have those to spend with her daughter, to be able to have a family meal there, even though it's just a couple of them. But consistently, the daughter has created plans on those nights, and it has been a driving force of division between the mom and the daughter. And in our communication here, we're going to be looking at the safety in what happens when they have this conversation of the mom coming home and the daughter saying, "I've got another friend I'm going to go to. I'm headed over there right now." And I said, "No, it's time for dinner. We're going to eat our family meal. Like, I've got this whole prepared. Like, I've been cooking." And that's the very, very start of their conversation. This conversation could go very, very quickly, very badly, to where there is anger and division between the mother and the daughter. And there's a very slight possibility that if the mother is good at looking, or the daughter is good at looking for safety, that they can switch this situation from the problem that they're dealing with to solving it and being able to move forward from what they're working on. See, the people who are not good at crucial conversations, they move to the violence, they move to the silence, they clash against each other. The people who are good at working around crucial conversations, they water down what they're going to say, They'll talk about, oh, I really wanted you home, but I guess if it's just this time, just make sure that next time they water it down, and that doesn't solve the issue. The daughter's still going out. She doesn't. It really didn't change how she was viewing what she was doing, the going out, the being with friends instead of being there with her mom. And the best, though, they don't play games. They know that they have to get their point across. They have to take on this crucial conversation head on. But in that same vein, they know that while they have to take it on head on, they don't have to take it on at that very moment. And they take a step back, even if that's just for a second, even if that's just for an instant. They understand that in that moment of their conversation, especially when it is turned crucial. So let's turn our hypothetical conversation crucial. So the mom brings up the fact that she wants her to stay home. She wants her to skip out on being with the friend. And the daughter comes back to her and says, why should I skip out with her? You're barely here for dinners anyway. Hold that talk back to that mom. And that mom, she has the right, and I personally believe so, to even just say, hey, I'm the mom. That wasn't right. Go to your room. But that doesn't solve the conversation. That doesn't turn it from a bad conversation to a good one. It just is a solution to the conversation. We're going to dive more in right now into how she could turn this into a good conversation. See, if the mom is really, really good at dealing with these conversations, she would take a step back. She purposely puts herself out of the conversation for just a second and thinks about two things. Her daughter reacted in a very particular way. She reacted with attacking, with a comment against her mother, and she now sees that there's safety that is broken. But how can she fix the issue of the safety that's broken? There's one of two things. She has to realize which of these two things has been broken. Is it, number one, there is no mutual purpose between the two, or number two, there's no mutual respect. And these things are very, very different. And usually, mutual purpose is about starting the conversation, and mutual respect is about the middles of conversation and where we're having a normal conversation and it takes a nosedive. So let's examine the two different things that could be going on here. So number one, mutual purpose. You see, when we walk into a conversation, talked about this with starting with the heart. When we walk into a conversation, we have a very particular thing that we really do want to come true. And if we've taken that time to sit back and think about it, and we're coming with a good intention, we know exactly what we want, there's still that mutual that comes in. See, a conversation is not just one person. Having a conversation with yourself will never solve anything, and there'll never be a crucial conversation with yourself. You always have that mutual aspect to your purposes. I have my purpose. I have what I want to have happen in that conversation. And the person I'm talking to, they have what they want to happen. Now, mutual purposes, even if I don't specifically want their thing to happen, how can I find a way that everybody, and step back to say, maybe I don't know right now how everybody's purpose can be given and their goal, all of their goals can be reached. But am I willing to step back and say, hey, can we look towards this instead? And it's really interesting to talk about that, and the fact that most of us, when we think about it, we're like, yeah, no, I don't mind if it's not exactly my idea, my goal, that's the one that comes to fruition. But when it comes to that very particular moment, when our emotions are high, our opinions are varied at that exact moment, that's when it's tough, and we don't have that mutual purpose together. And you really have to ask yourself two very particular questions. Do others believe that I truly care about their goals and their values? And do they trust my motives? If they don't trust my goals, there's going to be conflict here. And so I need to take a step back and say, okay, how can I assure them that my goals are good? How can I assure my daughter that my goal of wanting to have a meal with her is a good one? And on the flip side, how can I show my daughter that I care that she wants to be with her friends? How do I show her that I care that she has those relationships? It's a give and a take. Again, there's that mutual. There's never just the me. There is, okay, I have to think about myself and I have to think about the others. And it really comes down to this one very important thing. Do I truly care about what the other person wants? No matter how different we are, what we're thinking about or what we're talking about, do I truly care about what the other person wants? In the mom's position, do I truly care that my daughter wants to go be with her friends, to have a good time there? In the daughter's aspect, do I truly care, even if I want to go out, do I truly care that my mom has spent this amount of time to cook this food and sit down and be there with me, even if she's not there all of the time? Now, on the other side, we have mutual purpose that we need to have for a conversation to be safe, and we also need to have mutual respect. And the book talks about it a little bit of the fact that we don't even notice respect. We don't even notice the fact that we respect each other until there's nothing, there is none there, until there's disrespect. In the same way with oxygen, like we don't notice that the oxygen is there, the air is there until there's no air, and we're like, can't breathe, can't breathe. And the same thing happens with respect. Oh, well, there's respect around. There's respect around. The moment that the disrespect is, I can't breathe. The disrespect, and it just shoots your emotions through the roof. And the thing is there's this mutual respect that needs to be found for a conversation to continue, of understanding that I truly respect them and their input into this conversation. Like, even if their goal isn't the right one, and I know that, I respect them and their input. Now, this comes to a very particular issue of, okay, but how do I respect the people I don't respect? With the mom and the daughter, obviously, there are mutual things there that they can find that they can respect each other for. And that's the thing right there, is that we spend so much time looking at our differences that we forget about our similarities. We don't even look at them because we're so we have a tunnel vision on our differences. But the book talks about this company, and they've been having some issues with can't think of the words off the top of my head. Unions. They've been having problems with unions, and they've talked it out, and they've actually got the plan in place. But the leader of the company looks at it and says, "I can still see there's tension here," and calls both parties back in. They call in the workers that are chopping at the bit for union, and they call some of the people they've been dealing with, and they send them into two different rooms and say, hey, I want you to go write down your very basic goals for this company, what you want this company to do. And so they both go into their rooms. They take an hour to write down the things that they'd like the company to grow up and be, and they call everyone back in and they say, okay, now I want you guys to switch rooms and find, even if it's the smallest thing that you agree on, find the thing that you agree on so that we can move forward, not even just with the fact that we physically are moving forward, but that we can move forward in respect for each other because we do want to go after these similar goals. And the two groups went into the other rooms. They went to the other people's rooms where they had been writing down their goals, and they came back and they were shocked. Almost everything they had written was word for word the same thing. They wanted the exact same thing for the company, but they were going about it in different ways. And it switched how they looked at, oh man, I haven't been respecting this group because I wasn't noticing what they were like. I didn't know what they were really going after. And it had triggered this idea that maybe my disrespect for them was not warranted. Now, on the same thing with the mom and the daughter, there is that respect. Do I truly respect, especially a teenager? They're becoming an adult, and not all the time, but they need to start taking on that responsibility little by little. Otherwise, when they become an adult, they don't know how to run anything. They don't know how to do anything. And it's sad. I've seen a lot of students that have come out of high school and college who have no clue how to do anything because they were never given the respect to go and do something, to be in charge of something, to just even run a little bit. And with this, we need to take that step back and look at the fact that does the other person think I truly respect them and that I'm actually going to listen to what they have to say, whether I agree with what they're going to say or not. And that's a big thing, to even be able to just sit there and listen. Uh, and they bring up this very good prayer that someone said one time, and it's gotten written down. We have no clue who said it, but this person was praying and he said, "Lord, help me to forgive the people who sin differently than me." Because the thing is even at the very, very base of it, like, if this person is so different from you that there is no similarities between you and the other person, there is still one left, and that is the fact that you are both human and you have both sinned. We can find that commonality in and the very basic respect in the fact that I am a human and you are a human, and I respect you for being a person. Now, we're going to look more at what it looks like to implement those safety things in next week. But for right now, we're leaving this on this conversation of this mother and this daughter, and they're at a standstill. But now let's say that the mother has taken that step back to say, okay, I need to examine what's going on here. Is it our purpose or respect that has pushed this off course, that we need to sit down, we need to talk about this? Because if we don't talk about this, this is going to ruin our relationship, and it's just going to keep spiraling downward and downward and downward to bigger and bigger and bigger issues. And it's especially tough when it's in the face of an attack, or it's in the face of someone trying to avoid you. I'm going to continue to talk about this, but this is a really, really important topic, and so is Moses. We've been talking about Moses for the last couple of weeks with these kids, last couple of months. And it has just been amazing to see them grow in their understanding of the story, but not just the story of Moses, but how this entire story applies to them, and the fact that God has looked at them the same way as he has looked at Moses. The fact that God has said, you are an ordinary hero I am calling, just like I have called Moses. Well, thank you guys for tuning in today, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. Have a good day.